That took me a really long time to find my extra battery, and I'm really mad at myself because it was right in front of my face and I was looking everywhere besides the obvious. Anyways, I'm sorry if the volume in this video is a little bit low. It's currently 6 a.m. on a Saturday morning, and I need to film this because it's March 1st and I want to put up my February. Anyways, today's video is going to be all of the books that I finished in February and kind of a tentative TBR for March. So if you're interested, please keep on watching. So in the month of February, reread 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What? 6, 7, 8. We read 8.5 books in February, which for me, that's a good month. I don't know what happened this month. I don't know how. I don't know why. I do know how. I did like a couple of audiobooks on the weekends, and then I also did audiobooks while I was going to and from work, and then I did like physical copies like sometimes when I was going to sleep or on the weekends when I didn't have anything else to do. So that's how I made it to this many books. At the way I work full-time, I work 6:30 to 3 every single morning, and also I am chronically tired. So by the time I get home at like 4:35, I'm basically already in bed. So for me, that's a feat to make it through 8 books in a month. Okay, I love to read, don't get it wrong, but I don't know what happened. Something was in the water this month. And so the first book, I said 8.5 because one book I started reading in January and I brought it into February, and that book is Yellowface. Oh, can you see that? I'll just put up the picture right here. First book I read was Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. That book follows, so there's a very famous Asian author. I feel racist saying the name Yellowface, by the way. Like even typing it in to try and find the a book cover to show felt very questionable. Can you see that? There you go. Oh my god, look at my grubby fingerprint. We follow this is famous. There's a famous Asian author who every single book that she puts out is like gold, right? And she went to school with a white woman who on the surface, or in one of their eyes, they're friends, right? And one night they're celebrating something and the Asian author dies. And so now, after the Asian author dies and the main person in the story calls 911 and everything, she takes the most recent finished work that's not been published yet, that nobody knows about, by the Asian author, and publishes it under a pen name to make her seem more Asian, because the content of the book is very Asian centered. I said Asian like 20 times. So we're following the bad person's journey and how we get to this point of her plagiarizing, how we go through the publishing process with her, and everything that happens after it's published. And I hate to say that I really liked this book, but truthfully, I hated this woman. It was like excuse after excuse about stupid thing after stupid thing, and why can't other people just get over it and just give me my flowers type energy? And I was like, it's because you didn't write it yourself, you dumb. Anyways, and so I loved that book. I loved the critique around that, but I felt uncomfortable being in the mind of the bad person. I felt like It felt so uncomfortable. I was like, I like this, but I feel icky like saying that I like it, you know? So I like that book. I would recommend, I would read it again. I think I gave it a 4-star on Goodreads. I don't know. I will link my Goodreads down below if you want to follow along with the books that I read and how I keep up to date. So that was the first book we read. The first half of the book that we finished. The second book that we read was, ooh, Never Lie by Frida McFadden. This book. And okay, so now we're getting to the first full book that I read in February. And this was, it was just to kickstart my reading journey, honestly. I know that after I read Yellowface, I felt very much like I was falling into a slump, or I felt kind of tired of reading. But usually a good mystery and thriller, which for me is always Frida McFadden so far. Usually her books kind of like jumpstart my excitement again to start reading. So I read Never Lie because I kept hearing about it online. And the people online, they didn't tell a lie. It was Never Lie, okay? I loved it. For me, it's a 5-star read. I did not personally see the twists coming at the end. I never do with Frida books. And the way she just writes the characters and weaves the stories is just phenomenal to me. And the situations that people find themselves in, phenomenal to me. And the backstories and I just loved this book, okay? Even the ending was kind of creepy and chilling, and I was like, okay, this is how we're gonna live life now? That's crazy, that's wild. And then I was like, well, truly these people are psychopaths, so obviously this is how they're gonna live life now. So for me, Never Lie was the first full book I read in February, and it was a 5-star read. I love Frida McFadden. Most of her books have been 5-star reads for me, except one so far. But that was like a 4-star. And then I realized, truly, February is Black History Month. What are you doing? So I made it my mission to read books only by Black authors for the rest of the month of February. And I realized I have a lot of discrepancy on my bookshelves, okay? I don't have very many romances by Black authors. I don't have very much sci-fi by Black authors. And I have 0 thrillers / horrors by Black authors. So I am on the hunt, on a mission, if you will, to find more books in those 3 categories: romance, sci-fi, and thriller mystery / horror by Black authors. So if you have any recommendations down, please leave them in the comment section down below, if you made it to this far in the video anyways. So the first book by Black author that I read this month was The Deep by River Solomon, with Daveed Diggs, William Hudson, and Jonathan Snipes. This book has been on my TBR for so long. It's very short, as you can see. It's a fantasy. It's about what happened to the slaves that were thrown overboard from the ships on their way from Africa to North America, if you will. So yeah, it's like the community. Basically, it's hypothesizing that some of the people who were thrown overboard learned how to adapt in the water, and there's always one person chosen out of all of the people to keep the memories of what happened when they there's already one person who's there to figure out to keep the memories of what happened, but everybody else just kind of forgets about it. So it's about the one person who has the memories and her journey with that within the community, with the outside world, etc., etc. So I listened to it on audiobook. It took me like 2 days because, as I just said, super short. And I don't know what to think. I don't know what to think about this book. This book was interesting. It was a lot shorter than I expected. I don't think I liked the ending very much. It wasn't very conclusive for me. it kind of felt like we were just picking up steam in the story, you know what I'm saying? And also, like, the way the main conflict was resolved didn't feel realistic for me personally, like the reasoning behind how it was resolved. And I was like, okay, but then it was okay. It was an okay fantasy. I give it a 3-star. But that's just my opinion. The next book we read was Their Vicious Games by Joelle Wellington. Look at that cover. This one was a thriller. Yeah, I guess like a thriller. It was giving Hunger Games, but dark academia version, you know? Basically this girl is in a fight for her life. Something happens at school to where she's basically ostracized. I think she's the only black person at the school that she goes to, and something happens and now she's ostracized. No, not the only black person, but one of few. And to get back into the good graces of like the university she wants to go to, and you know, society and the place that she lives in, she wants to take part in these games that happen every year. They're very well known, but when you win these games, you get the support of a super famous, not famous, but rich and influential family. But when she enters the games, like, she thinks it's just like mind games and stuff like that, things about logic. But she quickly realizes that it's not what she seems. It's a lot more sinister. The goings-ons behind choosing the competitors, behind what happens to the winner / for the winner, behind the family, behind the other competitors. It was good for me. I liked it. It was thrilling. I don't know if I would reread it personally. I think I listened to this one as well on audiobook. Most of my books, I think, this month I listened on audiobook, but I would recommend. I think I gave it a 3.5 and I rated it up to a 4. So Their Vicious Games. Next we read Loving You Always by Kennedy Ryan, because I was in need of a romance. Okay, I've been reading mad like depressing and sad books so far that month. This is like, I only read like 2 romances this month, which for me is weird because I'm a romance girl. But we read Loving You Always by Kennedy Ryan, and this one follows, I remember this book was tea. Again, I think I listened to this on audiobook. Karis, she be the happiest woman in the world. She has a successful business and is about to start the family she's always wanted. But the man of her dreams, the one whose green eyes see straight into her soul and whose gentle hands make her body hum with pleasure, is not hers. Each secret moment with Walsh Bennett serves to remind Karis of what she's missing, and every stolen hour makes it harder to see her future without him. But being with Walsh would betray a sacred promise and upend her perfect life. When tragedy strikes, the razor's edge between love and loyalty grows sharper than ever, and Karis must decide where her heart would fall. I'm gonna tell you right now, this first part of this book, trauma. Maybe like the first third of the book, trauma. Okay, and I'm learning that this is a series, and then there's 3 other books in the series following the Bennett family, basically, like the siblings, cousins, whatever. And I have one other one, When You Are Mine, and I have another one on my TBR, which we'll get to for March. And I gave this book 5 stars because it was one of those books, maybe 4.5, maybe 4. I think it was really good. I think it was really well done. She told the line between questionable and moral issues versus like following your heart, basically. And this is my first Kennedy Ryan book, and I dug it. I think it's really good. Like, if this is what she was writing beforehand, I'm excited to read. Like, what's that other one called? I don't have it on my shelf. It's probably downstairs. But you know, This Could Be Us trilogy type vibes. I'm excited to read that. If this is what she used to write, like, I love this. I ate it up. It was drama. It was everything I ever wanted at that time, and it was short too. Next, we read Honey and Spice by Bolu Babalola. I love this book. I can't wait to reread it in the summertime. Okay, I started reading this last summer. I got like 50 pages in, but I was reading it on the bus. So I put it down when I came back home that day, and I never picked it up again, right? And then I restarted it again towards the end of last year. I got maybe like 100 and something pages in, and then I put it down and I never picked it back up. So I restarted it again in February because I was looking for another romance, and I was like, what am I meant to do here? So I restarted this bitch. No, I didn't. I think I started maybe like 40-50 pages in, and then I ate it all the way up. I could not put it down. This book was so good. It's a college romance set in the UK, where the main female character has a radio show. It's giving Dear White People, except she's even, yeah, it's giving Dear White People. That's a good TV show on Netflix. I should really bring that back. And she gives like advice to the black girlies on campus, and one of her advice pieces leads her to fake date a subject of one of the episodes that she puts out, and then we just follow. You already know it's a romance book, you know what's gonna happen. But apparently there's a second one in the series coming up this year, and I was like, oh, why is there a second one? What's going on? So it follows what you think would happen, but I think the second one is really gonna like upend some of the ideas that she put forward in the story. But this was, it's like fake relationship, friends to lovers heavy. It's so, I love a friends to lovers trope. And yeah, it was just good. They talk about culture. I highlighted so much in here, underlined so much in here, because I was like, listen, look at all of these cultural references. This book is really good. It's a really cute black love story, and I would recommend. I would 100. This is like my favorite book from this month. 6 out of 5 stars. Okay, the next book we read was my first lit fic of the month, Black Cake by Charmaine Wilkerson. I loved this book. This book gives I never rated it 5 stars, by the way. This book gave drama, it gave secrets, it gave lying, it gave I guess kind of an air of mystery as well. It gave historical, it gave very much so realistic what happens to people in different countries. I don't know how to explain it without spoiling it. It very much so was like, it pissed me off, it made me feel things, it made me excited, it made me upset, it made me happy, it made me question so many things. I love this book. It's one of my first literary fictions. I think it's only my second lit fic of the year. The first one was Yellowface, but I'm really starting to feel like this could be like one of my genres that I gravitate towards. I listened to it on audiobook from the library. All my audiobooks I get from the library, by the way. And we're following 2 siblings discovering their mom's life story after she passes. The siblings are like in their 40s, by the way, and their mom left them an 8-hour recording of like things that have happened in their lives, in her life, that led them to be where they are today. So it was giving drama, girl. You should read that. I would highly, this was also an audiobook. I read a lot of audiobooks this month. Yeah, I don't know why. Okay. I would honestly, if you're struggling to read, if you're struggling to stay focused, and you're really good at like tuning in to listening to things, I personally would recommend audiobooks, because sometimes the audiobook hits way different than it would like when you read it. Like you can hear the accents when you read books that are set in different places, or books where the main characters are not North American. You can really hear like people's intonations and inflections when they're like panicking or anything like that. And I personally just really enjoy the audiobooks. I think I'll be audiobooking a lot, and I like it. The next book we listened to was, oh my god, let me wipe this off. I don't own this book physically. I was just in the mood for a thriller, and I didn't know I had one. So this is Jackal by Erin E. Adams, and this one follows, okay, this girl is going back home for her best friend's wedding, a black girl, and back home is like a predominantly white neighborhood where there's maybe like a handful of black people, and she can feel that there's only a handful of black people, if you know what I mean. Like the stares, the questioning, the trying to keep your head down, the being successful while trying to not hype yourself up, all that fun stuff. And then while she's there at the wedding, tragedy hits, something happens, and through that one thing happening, she discovers it was like the final thread, or the final domino in like a line of dominoes that's been happening in the town for, I want to say, like at least 2 decades or so. And we just kind of follow her trying to figure it out, all the people involved, the emotional effects, etc, etc. And I'm just, this book had so much potential to me. I think maybe it would have been a different experience if I physically read it. Maybe I would enjoy it more. I gave this book like a 2.5, but I rounded it up to a 3 on Goodreads. I don't know, I felt like it was just super chaotic. They were trying to do too many different themes. They were trying to follow too many different avenues, and I feel like it was confusing. I zoned out some of the times, and when I zoned back in, I was like, okay, I can still pretty much follow exactly where we are. Which, like, I want to miss critical shit when I zone out, you know what I'm saying? I want to be having to be hooked into the book. I don't want to zone out. So yeah, it was kind of like, I think the author really did well at making you question all of the characters. I think they did that really well. I feel like there were multiple, it's only from one POV, but I feel like there were multiple people who could have been the bad guy. But I just don't feel like it hit for me personally. So that one I give it 2.5, unfortunately. But if you're into like, fantastical, how do you say, horror, thriller, mystery novels, I would give it a try. Maybe it just wasn't my style, just because of what the outcome was, but I think it was okay. It was okay. It was okay, you know. The final book we read / listened to was Where Sleeping Girls Lie by Farida Abike-Iyimide. And when I tell you, this is the thriller I should have read instead of Jackal. No offense, Erin Adams. You got your lane. Farida got her lane. This book, first of all, I don't know why this book is like 400 and something pages. Bitch, why? Why? I don't know. But it was long. It was a long book. The audiobook for this was so good. I was gagged on the bus. I was like, again, just like Jackal, there's multiple characters who could have been the bad guys. Oh, I didn't tell you what it's about. This girl, Shadi, goes to boarding school after tragedy has hit her family, right? And as soon as she gets there, does it say? Yes. As soon as she gets there, her roommate disappears. And everybody's like literally, I'm talking like the next day when she gets there, the roommate disappeared. And it's like, how? Why? And then you're just kind of unraveling the mystery, like, and then people are dead, and then people are still trying to figure out what happens, and then there's secret societies, and there's this group of trio of girls called the Unholy Trinity, and there's a lot of there's triggers in this book, so please read the trigger warnings at the beginning of this, because towards the end of the book I was so pissed reading it, but I was like, to be honest, this is what happens to people, and they deserve to have their stories read and known about, so I understand that. But towards the end of this book I was so mad. The audiobook was great because there's like anagrams in there in the form of like voice notes, which to this day I have no idea who the anagrams are by. Where is it? There's like Morse code in there. Like, for example, this is like one of the anagrams, and it's like in a different voice. Kind of sounds like she's underwater, and like the characters were introduced to, some of them deserve to die. I'm sorry. And then like this book was a 5-star. I was so angry, and then when I read, I was like, oh. Read this book. Truly, if you want to get an insight into what it's like to be a black girl sometimes, one aspect of being a black girl, because we're not all the same. If you want to get an insight into what it's like being a black girl, read this shit. If you want to get insight into what it's like to be a girl, period, read it. If you want to get insight into maybe a little bit of depression, but like, I can't talk about it without talking about the triggers. Anyways, this was the last book of the month, and I'm very excited about it. And if anybody knows what this means, this is on the cover of the hardcover. If anybody knows what that means in Morse code, please let me know. I don't know how I got to 30 minutes talking about this book, so I guess my March TBR is gonna have to be in another video. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any book recommendations, like I said, of thrillers / mysteries / horrors and sci-fi and romance by black authors, let your girl know, and I will see you in the next video, which will hopefully be my March TBR. Bye.